Protect me, correct me. You got your orders, soldier. Inside my head is humming. Sometimes I hear them coming. The power, believing. The hate, I hate believing. Where is this? It can't be. Who are you? I know you. You wouldn't, or would you? Don't fight me, ignite me. My trigger, your finger, your darkness. I know it. Come forward. I've seen it. I mean it. Your power is over. I've come to change the order. My training is perfect. I'm back again. Your promise is broken. I drank your sacred water. My mission is holy. I'm back. My father, his duty, his orders. My brother, the promise, the breaking, rejection, deception, reflections, conception, the missing, the torture, the madness, the sadness. Can this be? Your power is over. I've come to change the order. My training is perfect. I'm back again. Your promise is broken. I drank your sacred water. My mission is holy. I'm back. The hate, I hate believing. The hate, I hate believing. I never saw it coming. I never saw it coming. The hate, I hate believing. The hate, I hate believing. I never saw it coming. I never saw it coming. You have your orders, soldier. Maybe I just never took the time. You were always on my mind. You were always on. You were always on. You were always on my mind. You were always on.
Hello everybody and welcome back to Operation Research Discussion. Today we will discuss about special case of linear programming solution, that is degenerate linear programming solution. Among several special cases of linear programming, one is degenerate linear programming solution. The objective of this lesson is to find out the solutions of degenerate linear programming. Before moving to degeneracy, let's have some idea about tie breaking in the simplex method. There are two types of tie in simplex method. There is a tie for the entering basic variable and there is a tie for the leaving basic variable. As you remember in lesson 5, when we are solving the linear programming using simplex method, the maximization linear programming using simplex method, so when we determine the entering variable or the pivot column, so we look at the Cj minus Zj row and we select the maximum positive, that is 3 in this case. The maximum positive is 3, so this column becomes a pivot column, and
In this lesson, we're going to focus on linear programming. I'm going to talk about how to solve it analytically first, and then we can work on some word problems. Now, there's two types of equations that you need to be familiar with. The first one is known as the constraint, and the second is the objective function. The objective function contains 3 variables typically, or more, and the constraint usually contains 2 variables. So for example, let's say if we have 2 variables x and y. X plus y, let's say it's less than 20, that's a constraint. Another one, 3x plus 4y, is less than 72. The objective, we're going to say, is z. We want to maximize z. Z is 4x plus 5y. In this example, the objective has 3 variables, x, y, and z, and the constraints have 2 variables, x and y. And our goal is to maximize or minimize the objective function. In this problem, we're going to maximize z. Now, since we have 3 variables, we'll need 3 equations. Once you have your 2 constraints and the objective function, what you want to do is you want to plot these 2 inequalities. Let's begin by making a graph. And we only need to worry about quadrant 1, and that is this quadrant. Now, the best way to plot it is to identify the x and y intercepts. So let's start with this one. To get the x-intercept, replace y with 0. So we can see x is 20. And to get the the y-intercept, replace x with 0. So y is also 20. And then let's connect these two with a straight line. And that line wasn't straight. There we go. Now let's do the same thing for the next inequality. So let's find the x-intercept. So let's replace in a graph. And we only need to worry about quadrant 1, and that is this quadrant. Now the best way to plot it is to identify the x and y intercepts. So let's start with this one. To get the x-intercept, replace y with 0. So we can see x is 20. And to get the y-intercept, replace x with 0. So y is also 20. And then let's connect these two with a straight line. and that line wasn't straight. There we go. Now let's do the same thing for the next inequality. So let's find the x-intercept. So let's replace y with 0. So we have 3x is less than or equal to 72. And if we divide by 3, the maximum value of x is 24. Now let's calculate the y-intercept. So let's replace x with 0. So 4y is less than or equal to 72. And then let's divide by 4. 72 divided by 4 is 18. Now, let's say if we shaded this region, that's for the first inequality, and then this is for the second inequality, and then we shade that region. The region where both lines, or where we have both colors, is this region that I'm going to highlight in green. And it's always going to be like that. So we only need to shade just this region. Now, once you plot the graph, identify the corner points. At one of these corner points, we're going to get a maximum. Now, we really don't need this corner point because we're not looking for the minimum of the function. If we plug in 0 and 0, z will be 0. And we want to maximize z, so let's ignore that corner point. Now, what I like to do at this point is make a table. A table with x, y, and z. So this first point here, the x-intercept, x is 20 and y is 0. And for this second point, the y-intercept, x is 0, y is 18. Now, we need to find this point, and that's that's where the two inequalities intersect. So what we need to do is we need to solve this using systems of equations. We could use the substitution method or the elimination method. And I'm going to use the elimination method. So I'm going to multiply the first equation by -4. Actually, I'm going to use -3 to get rid of the x values. So it's going to be -3x minus 3y is less than or equal to -60. And then I'm going to rewrite the second equation right below it. So 3x will cancel, and -3y plus 4y, that's y, and that's less than or equal to -60 plus 72, which is 12. So y is 12. At least that's the maximum value of y at that point. Now we need to calculate x. So I'm going to use the very first equation, or the first inequality, before we multiplied it by 3. So let's replace y with 12. 20 minus 12 is 8. So x is at most 8 at that point. Now we don't need the graph anymore now that we have our points of interest. So we need to calculate z and determine which of these 3 points will give us the maximum z value. So let's start with the first one, 20, 0. So z is going to be 4 times 20 plus 5 times 0. 4 times 20 is 80. Now for the second one, x is 0 and y is 18. So what's 5 times 18? 5 times 10 is 50. 5 times 8 is 40. 50 and 40 adds up to 90. And then for the last one, it's going to be 4 times 8 plus 5 times 12. 4 times 8 is 32. 5 times 12 is 60. So this adds up to 92. So notice that this is the maximum z value. It occurs when x is 8 and y is 12. So this is the process that you need to follow in order to solve a linear programming problem. For any problems past this point, all you need to do is be able to write the objective function and the two constraints. If you can do this, then you need to simply follow these steps that you've just seen, and you can find the maximum profit or maximum whatever it is you're looking for. Now let's work on a word problem. A company receives in sales $20 per book and $18 per calculator. The cost per unit to manufacture each book and calculator are $5 and $4 respectively. The monthly 30-day cost must not exceed $27,000 per month. If the manufacturing equipment used by the company takes 5 minutes to produce a book and 15 minutes to produce a calculator, how many books and calculators should the company make to maximize profit? And also, determine the maximum profit the company earns in the 30-day period. So if you want to try this problem, feel free to pause the video and work on it. Now what I'm going to do is make a table so I can organize all of the information that's presented in this problem. So first, we need to talk about the sales. The next thing is the cost, and also the time it takes to manufacture the items. And there's 2 items of interest: the books and the calculators. I'm going to use B for books, C for calculators. So the company receives in sales $20 per book and $18 per calculator. Now the cost to manufacture one book is just on average $5 and $4 to manufacture a single calculator. Now to make a book, it takes 5 minutes on average, and 15 minutes to produce the calculator. And our goal is to maximize the profit, or basically maximize the sales in this case. The profit is really going to be the difference between the sales and the cost. So let's change this and say we're going to maximize the sales. If we maximize the sales, the profit will be at a maximum because the cost is fixed. So our goal is to maximize the sales in this case. The cost cannot exceed $27,000 per month. Now, what we need to do is write two constraints and one objective function. So let's start with the objective function. We're trying to maximize the profit, and therefore we need to maximize the sales produced by this company. So the company receives $20 per book, and we're going to say B represents the number of books that the company produces. So the sales that come from the books is going to be 20 times the number of books. And the sales coming from the calculators is going to be 18C, or $18 per calculator times the number of calculators produced by the company. And that's going to equal S, the total number of sales. Now we have three variables in this equation, and this is the objective function. We need to maximize S. Now let's focus on the constraints. Write the second constraint equation. Start in conversion. So it's going to be 30 times 24 times 60. And so that's 43,200 minutes. That's the time constraint. So it takes 5 minutes to make a book. So we're going to write that as 5B. And it takes 15 minutes to make a calculator. So 15C. And that has to be less than or equal to 43,200 minutes. X, 2, and C disappear. So that's going to be 5,400. B with 0 equals 100. Wait, we can that E. It's going to both for 19 plus, and then right here too. So I see 1, 2, and say have. Now let's find out. And 2, 80 is 14, 100. Clearly, this represents the maximum sales. And to determine the number of books and calculators the company should make to maximize the profit, it's 4,221 books and 1,473 calculators.
हेलो स्टूडेंट्स, मैं डॉक्टर गजेंद्र पुरोहित और मैंने अपना क्वेश्चन है, मैंने आपको बताया था ऑब्जेक्टिव फंक्शन क्या होता है, कंस्टेंट क्या होते हैं, ये सब मैं आपको बता चुका हूं पुराने वीडियो में। सो मैं सीधा बताऊंगा यहाँ पे सिंपलेक्स मेथड से कैसे सॉल्व करते हैं। पर मैं आपको बताना चाहता हूं यहाँ पे कि सिंपलेक्स मेथड, तो इसको x1 x2 ले लो, है ना। सो x2 को 0 रखा तो इसकी वैल्यू आ रही 5, सॉरी, है ना। और इसको यहाँ पे 0 रखा x1 को, तो इसकी वैल्यू आ रही है आपके पास 3। देन इसके लिए हम बनाते हैं यहाँ पे, है ना। तो ये हमारा x1, ये हमारा x2, देन ये 0 0 है। तो इसका जो कॉमन रीजन आएगा वो सीधा आपको क्वेश्चन सॉल्व करके बता रहा हूँ। और इसके जो पॉइंट आएगा सी, तो यहां से इसकी वैल्यू कितनी आएगी 9। तो हमारा जो मैक्सिमम z आ रहा है वो क्या आ रहा है, ये आ रहा। अगर मैं इसी इक्वेशन को सिंपलेक्स मेथड से सॉल्व करूं, राइट, अगर मैं इसी क्वेश्चन को क्या करूं, मैं सिंपलेक्स मेथड से सॉल्व करूं, तो भी मेरा आंसर क्या आना चाहिए, यही आना चाहिए। मतलब यहां पे क्या आ रहा है, z इज मैक्सिमम राइट। आप सिंपलेक्स मेथड देखिए स्टूडेंट, आपके पास ये, सो मेरे पास इतना टाइम नहीं है कि मैं इन सब चीजों को लेके चलूं। अगर मैं आपके सामने थ्योरी बताने लग गया तो मेरा टाइम बहुत खराब होता है। 1 + 3x2, अब क्या होता है, ये लेस देन है तो हम यहाँ पे क्या करेंगे, एक वेरिएबल को ऐड करेंगे ना। 3x1 + 5x2, हमें यहाँ पे बैलेंस करना, तो हम एक वेरिएबल ऐड करेंगे, उसको नाम देंगे हम x3। और स्टूडेंट, जब भी लेस देन होता है हम कोई वेरिएबल ऐड करते हैं, उसको बोलते हैं स्लैक वेरिएबल। क्या बोलते हैं, स्लैक वेरिएबल, राइट। अगर ग्रेटर देन होगा तो हम यहाँ पे जो वेरिएबल ऐड करेंगे सब्ट्रैक्ट करेंगे, क्योंकि लेस देन है तो हमें माइनस करना पड़ेगा, राइट। अरे भैया, अगर यहाँ पे ये छोटा नहीं, ये बड़ा, यहाँ को जोड़ना पड़ेगा ना, तो उसको हम स्लैक वेरिएबल बोलेंगे ना। अगर यहाँ ये ग्रेटर देन इक्वल टू साइन है तो हम यहाँ पे क्या करेंगे, माइनस करेंगे ना, वो बोलते हैं सरप्लस वेरिएबल, ठीक है। सो इधर देखिए आप लोग, यहाँ पे 5x1 + 2x2 0x3, यहाँ पे हम नया वेरिएबल ऐड करेंगे x4, और जो नहीं है उसको हम लिख देंगे 0x पर। जैसे यहाँ पे हमने x3 ऐड कर दिया 0x, सिमेट्रिक दिखाने के लिए ना, सो दैट कि एक जैसा दिखे, क्लियर। अब यहाँ पे भी हमने लिख दिया 0x3 एंड 0x4, बोलो सही है। एंड ऑल xi इज ग्रेटर देन, सभी जो वेरिएबल है वो क्या, 0 और 0 से बड़े होंगे। स्टूडेंट मैं आपको फिर से बता दूं, मैक्सिमम z, है ना, यहाँ पे हमने बैलेंस करने के लिए x3 जोड़ा, यहाँ पे हमने बैलेंस करने के लिए x4 जोड़ा, और इन दोनों वेरिएबल को हम बोलते हैं स्लैक वेरिएबल, क्योंकि ये इसको बैलेंस करने के लिए ऐड करे गए, राइट, है ना। अब बात करते हैं आगे की, है ना। अब हम यहाँ मैट्रिक्स, यहाँ पे एक टेबल बनाएंगे ना, वो टेबल समझने की जरूरत है ना। CB XB B, है ना। अब देखिए अब क्या होगा, है ना। ये जो ये यहाँ पे है, इसको लिखेंगे हम x1 x2 x3 x4। अब लिखना कैसे, पहले आपको ये लिखना है ना। अब यहाँ पे कंसेप्ट होता है बेसिक वेरिएबल का। क्या होता है, बेसिक वेरिएबल। बेसिक वेरिएबल वो वेरिएबल होते हैं जो मैट्रिक्स में यूनिट मैट्रिक्स बनाते थे, लाइक 1 0 0 1 बन रहा है ना। तो यहाँ पे जो बेसिक वेरिएबल होंगे वो क्या होंगे, x3 और x4 होंगे। नॉर्मली x3 और जो हम सेलेक्ट वेरिएबल ऐड करते हैं वही उनको बेसिक लेंगे। सो मैं पहले आपको यहाँ बता देता हूँ क्या हो रहा है। देखो यहाँ पे ये हो रहा है 3 5 5 2 1 0 0 1, एंड देन यहाँ आएगा 15, यहाँ आएगा 10, और भैया 3 5 5 2 1 0 0 1, और ये जो b है वो यहाँ आ जाएगा, क्लियर। यहाँ पे आएगा cj। cj का मतलब क्या होता है, ये जो कॉस्ट, ये कॉस्ट फंक्शन होता है, राइट। इसको बोलते हैं हम 5 3 0 0। या तो हम प्रॉफिट निकालते हैं या कॉस्ट निकालते हैं, तो ये जो इसकी वैल्यू, इसका जो कोफिशिएंट है उसको उठा के यहाँ रखेंगे, क्लियर। अब बेसिक वेरिएबल कौन होता है, जिससे यूनिट मैट्रिक्स बनते हैं। देखो यूनिट मैट्रिक्स इन दोनों से बन रही है ना, तो ये हमारा हो जाएगा x3, ये हो जाएगा हमारा x4, है ना, क्योंकि फर्स्ट वाली इक्वेशन में x3, सेकंड वाली इक्वेशन में x4 है। अब इन दोनों की कॉस्ट कितनी भैया, यहाँ पे 0 0 है। कॉस्ट ऑफ बेसिक वेरिएबल CB, ठीक है। अब आपके मन में सवाल उठेगा, सर करना क्या चाह रहे हैं ये बताओ आप। तो मैं आपको समझाना चाहता हूं मैं करना क्या चाह रहा हूं। आपको क्या करना है, ये दोनों बेसिक वेरिएबल हटाने हैं और x1 और x2 को बेसिक बनाने हैं। इस x1 और x2 को हम बेसिक बनाना चाहते हैं, मतलब यहां 1 0 0 1 चाहिए मेरे को। तो हम क्या करेंगे, सबसे पहले हम बात करेंगे यहाँ पे zj माइनस cj की, है ना। तो सबसे हम क्या करेंगे, zj निकालेंगे। क्या निकालेंगे, zj। चलो zj पहले निकाल दो, ठीक है ना। तो zj क्या होगा, zj क्या होगा, इन दोनों को इन दोनों से मल्टीप्लाई करके जोड़ना। इन दोनों को इन दोनों से मल्टीप्लाई करो, 0 से 3 मल्टीप्लाई 0, 0 से 5 मल्टीप्लाई होगा 0, इन दोनों को जोड़ दो, कितना आएगा 0।
In this video, I will be solving this maximization problem using this simplex tableau setup. Writing it in standard form, we add slack variables to the constraints because they are less than or equal to constraints, and also change the inequalities to equalities. The coefficients of the slack variables will be zeros in the objective function, and all the variables will be non-negative. Since we have two decision variables in the original problem, the simplex method starts by setting two of these four variables to zeros, then solving for the values of the other two. For example, if we set x2 and s1 to 0, then x1 equals 8. Plugging that into the second equation, we obtain s2 equals negative 12. This is called a basic solution. However, it is not feasible because s2 equals negative 12 violates the non-negativity requirement. x2 and s1 that are set to 0 here are called non-basic variables, while x1 and s2 are called basic variables. Usually we start by setting x1 and x.
In this video, I will explain how to use the simplex method to solve a linear programming problem. So let's check out this problem. It says maximize p equals 30x plus 40y subject to the following constraints. So we're trying to figure out what values of x and y would maximize p, assuming that x and y have to meet these constraints. So to solve this using the simplex method, the very first step is we're going to rewrite these inequalities using equal signs, and we're going to introduce slack variables. So for this particular example, there are three constraints, and this last condition down here where it says x is greater than 0 and y must be greater than 0, this is known as non-negativity. So because we have three constraints that we need to consider, we need to introduce three slack variables. So here's how we do that. We rewrite the equations as 2x plus y, and we'll introduce our first slack variable. Let's call that s1, or slack 1, and we'll set that equal to 10. Then we'll rewrite the next equation, so x plus y. Now we'll introduce a new slack variable. Let's call it s2 is equal to 7, and then we'll write the last equation, x plus 2y, and we'll introduce one more slack variable called s3 is equal to 12. And then lastly, we need to rewrite the objective function up here in which all of the variables are on one side. So let's subtract the 30x and subtract the 40y. So here's what that would look like. We would have negative 30x minus 40y plus p would be equal to 0. So now that we've rewritten each of these equations, we're now going to place the coefficients of each equation into a tableau. So here's what that looks like. Okay, so we've created our tableau where we've written the variable names along the top here, and within the tableau, we've written the coefficients from the equations. Now, the next step is we need to focus our attention on the bottom row right here, and we need to ask ourselves what is the most negative value in this bottom row? So that would be the negative 40 right here. So what that means is that this column that the negative 40 belongs to is going to be our pivot column. Now what we want to do is coefficients from the equations. Now the next step is we need to focus our attention on the bottom row right here. And we need to ask ourselves what is the most negative value in this bottom row. So that would be the negative 40 right here. So what that means is that this column that the negative 40 belongs to is going to be our pivot column. Now what we want to do is identify the pivot element that we're going to focus on in this column. So to do that, we now need to look at the values on this right-hand side and divide them by the corresponding value in our pivot column. So for example, 10 divided by 1, that's 10. Then 7 divided by 1 is 7. And lastly, 12 divided by 2 is 6. So among these values, which one is the smallest? Well, that would be the 6 right here. So what that means is that the corresponding value in our pivot column, which would be this 2 value right here, this 2 is now our pivot element. So what we want to do is we want to make this 2, our pivot element, we want to make it a 1, and we want to make every other value in our pivot column equal to 0. So how could we make this 2 equal to a 1? Well, we could just divide it by 2. So 2 divided by 2 is 1. And whatever we do to this pivot element, we need to do to every value in its row. So in other words, we need to divide every value in this row by 2. So here's what that looks like. All right, so I've rewritten the values of every row except for this third row right here in the tableau. And remember, we said we're going to divide each of these values by 2. So I've gone ahead and written row 3, we're going to divide by 2. So for example, this 1 right here, we need to divide by 2. So that will become a 1/2. Then the 2, we divide that by 2, so that becomes a 1. Then we divide 0 by 2, so that's a 0. Divide this 0 by 2, that's a 0. 1 divided by 2 is 1/2. 0 divided by 2 is 0. And 12 divided by 2 is 6. So this is our updated tableau. So remember we said that we want to make our pivot element a 1, which we've already done, but we want to make every other value in the column, so this value, and this value, we want to make them all zeros. So here's how we could do that. Notice that if we take this value in row 1 and we simply subtract this value in row 3, that would produce a 0 right here, which is what we want. So let's go ahead and say row 1, those values are going to become row 1 minus row 3. Then if we consider this row 2 right here, again, we could do the same thing where let's take this value and let's subtract row 3. So we can say row 2 is going to become row 2 minus row 3. And then lastly, how can we make this negative 40 equal to 0? Well, we could multiply row 3 by 40, so that would be 1 times 40, which is 40, and then we could add this negative 40, which would produce a 0. So we'll say for row 4, we're going to do 40 times row 3, and then we're going to add row 4. So when we do that, let's see what we get. Okay, so for row 1, we said we're going to do row 1 minus row 3. So that would be 2 minus 1/2, that's 3/2. Then we have 1 minus 1, which is 0. Then we have 1 minus 0, which is 1. Then we have 0 minus 0, which is 0. Then we have 0 minus 1/2, which is a negative 1/2. Then we have 0 minus 0, which is 0. And then we have 10 minus 6, which is 4. All right, now moving on to row 2, we said we're going to do row 2 minus row 3. So 1 minus 1 minus 3 plus 0, 46 is that we were able to make our pivot element equal to 1 and every other value in the column equal to 0. So I'm going to go ahead and rewrite this tableau to make a little more space. Okay, so I've went ahead and rewritten that tableau. Now what we need to do is we need to look at the bottom row again and say, are there any remaining negative values? Because if there are, we need to repeat that process that we just did. So we can see there is a remaining negative value of negative 10. So this is going to be our new pivot column. Now to determine the pivot element in this column, remember what we do. We take the value on this right-hand side and we divide them by the corresponding value in the pivot column. So 4 divided by 3/2. Remember when we divide a fraction, that's the same as 4 times the reciprocal of that fraction. So 4 times 2/3, that's 8/3. Then we have 1 divided by 1/2, that's the same as 1 times 2/1, which is 2. And 6 divided by 1/2, that's the same as 6 times 2/1, which is 12. So the smallest of these values is the 2 right here. So that means that this 1/2 within our pivot column, this 1/2 is going to become our pivot element. So this is the value that we want to make 1, and every other value in the column we want to make a 0. So we can see that to make this a 1, we would just need to multiply it by 2. So let's go ahead and do that. So let's write row 2. The values in row 2 are simply going to become row 2 times 2. So here's what that looks like. Okay, so none of the other rows are changing right now, but row 2, we're going to do row 2 times 2. So 1/2 times 2, that's 1. 0 times 2 is 0, 0 times 2 is 0, 1 times 2 is 2, negative 1/2 times 2 is negative 1, 0 times 2 is 0, and 1 times 2 is 2. Okay, so we can see that we made our pivot element equal to 1. Now we just need to make all of the other values in the column equal to 0. So how could we do that? Well, if we focus on this first row, we could make this value a 0 by taking row 1 and subtracting 3/2 times row 2. So I'm going to go ahead and write that down here. So we can say row 1 is going to become row 1 minus 3/2 times row 2. Then if we want to make this value a 1, how could we do that? Well, we could do this row 3 value is 1 row 2 1/2 minus this 1 2. And row 10 times 1 plus a negative 10, that's a 0. Then we have 10 times 0 plus 0, that's a 0. 10 times 0 plus 0, that's another 0. 10 times we had 60. So now if we look at our tableau, we'll notice that there are no negative values in the bottom row anymore. So that means we're done. So if we look at our variables, we have a total of 6 variables up here. We say that the basic variables are the ones that have a 1 in one of the rows and a 0 in every other row. So we can see that variable x, y, slack variable 1, and p all have a 1 in one of the rows of their column and a 0 everywhere else. So these are our basic variables. And we can see what their values are just by looking at their corresponding value in the right-hand column. So for example, slack variable 1 has a 1 right here in its column, and the corresponding value in the right-hand column is a 1. So slack variable 1 is equal to 1. Then if we look at variable x, is in its column value. Now, the other variables that don't meet that condition of having a 1 in just one of the rows, those are known as non-basic variables, which we can see are slack variable 2 and slack variable 3. And we simply set both of those variables equal to 0. So now if we recall what we were trying to do in the first place, we were trying to maximize this function of p equals 30x plus 40y. So it turns out that this is maximized when x is equal to 2 and y is equal to 5. And when x is 2 and when y is 5, if you plug in a 2 right here and a 5 right here, p turns out to be 260. So that is our final answer. This objective function is maximized when x is equal to 2 and when y is equal to 5. And when that's the case, p is equal to 260.
There is another reason to fill your heart with hatred. It must be this way. One day you will understand why. You must try to remember me and your true self as well. You will birth a god and build an eternal paradise.
Close it. I know that thing's gonna turn. Close it. Close it. I know that thing's gonna turn. Excuse me, ma'am. 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 Okay. When your boy loading up the Twin Hotel game.
Welcome to Twin Hotel Spa and more.
Whoa, whoa. Let me select the game, bro. All right.
Indulge and comfort. Rejuvenate your senses.
Oh!
Experience fine dining.
What's that? Egg salad? Oh,
Exceptional service.
back up, bro. Back up.
And more.
Yes, we are all staying at this hotel, bro.
Hey, wanna wishlist our game on Steam?
Yeah, I'll wishlist after I play the game. Welcome to the Sauce House Game Center. Congratulations. Congratulations. Welcome to the Twin family. As one of our first elevator operators, you'll be helping us prepare for our grand opening. Since the hotel stood under construction, the elevator currently has 2 controls. Up and down? Closed door and next floor. Ooh. Does one of the floors go to a store? Does the elevator take me down to the core? They asked me to wish list. After this game, I might want some more.
Bicycle.
We understand that your injury makes walking difficult. Don't worry, your role requires no walking. Shoot, man, sounds good with freaking me, bro. Sit right here chilling, bro. Simply remain inside the elevator and operate the lift for, I guess, throughout your shift. Your task is simple. Operate the elevator. Management. Twin Hotel Spa and more. Thumbs up to another man, them.
What's up, man?
Hey, man. Oh! Hello, everybody. My name is Stuart Fest. Welcome to the Twin Hotel Spa and more. Now, before we start this video, I have a couple things I just want to say. For all of you looking forward to Resident Evil 8, that is still coming. I said at the end of my last Ultra Kill video, and I'll say this now, I'm going to be moving here pretty soon. So if the uploads seem to be decreasing in frequency, just know that after I move, they'll shoot the freaking roof. Gee, I already freaking know, bro. But if I'm a little slower on the upload, slower on the updates, slower on Resident Evil 8, that's why. I just want to give you guys a heads up, communicate with you guys. All right, let's waste some time to start this game. Gosh, it's been a minute since I played a little horror game. It's been, is everything, that's weird. What's going on? Oh, okay, all right. Gosh, it's been a minute since I played a little horror game, man. It's been a minute. Which brings me back to playing Five Nights at Freddy's for the first time. Floor un. Close the door, bro. It's gonna kill me, bro. Okay, I'm assuming you could go out of the elevator and take a right. Is this lady just chilling in a lobby? What do you want me to do? Oh, that's what they're talking about, injury, bro. Am I a veteran? Am I in the U.S. Army right now? Shoot, bro. Had enough of that army bullcrap. Let's go. There you go. Which floor you want to go to, ma'am? All right. Oh, excuse me. Sorry. Now we can go. Sorry. No, let's forget. All right, here's your stop, ma'am. Have a good time. What's up, Dave? Oh. Okay, he wants to go down, but so he wants to go down. Okay, let's go down. You guys having a good day? You guys know each other in the building? Oh, we gotta go up. Is this your stop, miss?
Oh, you smell like shaving cream.
What about you, sir?
Frick up, little boy.
All right, floor number 3. Here you go. Good time, everybody. Good times. Get off as you please. Yep. See you, Dave. I'll see you soon, man. Oh, he forgot something. Well, man. Oh, I think that's his brother. He's got Dave and we got Rave.
What's up, man?
Gosh, bro, we got this Resident Evil elevator, bro. I think they forgot to put the walls on this thing. We got arrow point to the buttons. All right, we're on floor number 4. You have a good day, man. We're on floor number 4. All right, yeah. All right, we gotta. Okay, now I gotta go up. Gosh, man, I think I could be a really good elevator operator. How much do these guys make a year? Floor 5. Ooh, spa cool. What's up, Jenny?
Like, I'm not doing that.
Oh, okay. Man, Deb didn't want to get on the elevator. Oh, Okay, hold on. Hey, before I go to the downstairs floor, I'm gonna need to get on.
Press the button, old man.
Floor number 6. I wonder how high the floors will go. Do they got the infamous floor 13? Probably not. Floor 6. Hopefully nobody has a pound of bricks. Yo. That floor's all yours, bro. It's all yours. I'm not coming back. She's looking at me. She's like, get the frick off my floor right now, bro. Little evil little girl. She's a foot tall, bro. I could use my other leg. I'd kick her. Yeah, yeah. Oh! Oh. Hi. Do you want to get on the elevator? Do you need to go somewhere? I think your sister's down 1 floor. Was that a come here or is that just a wave? Hey, man. You take it easy, Daisy. I'll see you soon, Daisy. Perfect. Oh, that sounds like she's... Bro, who the Oh my gosh, bro. Richard, you would not believe what just happened, Richard. You know Daisy? Do you know the Daisy twins? The Daisy twins? The Daisy twins just said hello to me, Richard.
Dude, it's Bob.
Oh, sorry, Bob. Oh man, I hope we don't see Jeremiah.
Bicycle.
Oh. Alright, I'll see you, bro. Why does everybody walk like they got a turd in their butt, bro? I don't like that, man. Ew, dude. Everybody's freaking around walking like this. Ugh. Get out here with that, bro. Get out here. Get out of here. I think something messed up with my headphones. I know. They just like don't sound right anymore. Floor number 10. Let's go. Double digits. Y'all remember when you guys turned 10? Somebody that turned 10 today? Yeah. 11. We're skipping 10. Mandem's going up, bro. Never going back down. 12. Oh. What's up, everybody? Oh. Okay, I think they're still working on this floor. They're still working on this floor. Everybody gotta get on. Hey! I'll be here all day. Everybody gotta get on? Alright. Guess not. That's alright. Hey. Up and go. Down. Oh, I see 2 controls. Oh, I totally just read that at the beginning. I thought, see, bro, wait, okay. Who the frick puts the button that don't go up and down? It's open and closed door? Frick out, bro. What is that shadow? What is that shadow? Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. Alright, we're not alone in this elevator. FNAF, but you're not alone in the elevator?
Wait, it's not even FNAF.
Back down to 1? Uh-oh. Basement level 2? Oh. It's like the backrooms version of floor 1. Hey! Anybody? Okay. See, I'm not gonna idle whenever it tells me to press the button. Oh my gosh, we keep going down. What do we gotta go down at now? Oh, okay. Why did it say down arrow and I went up a floor? Oh, shoot. Wake up. Oh! Oh! Somebody help that guy. Somebody help that guy. Alright, let's keep going. That's behind me, bro. Is my injury that bad I can't turn around? When your boy's bored, so we start singing. -4. -5. How low will we go? Bro, stop the singing, bro. Stop the singing, bro. Bro, stop the singing, bro. She's like altering the formants in her voice, going like super, super low. Oh my gosh, we're going deep. We already. Close the door. Close the door. Close it. Close it. I know that thing's gonna turn. Excuse me, ma'am. Ma'am. Okay. Oh my gosh, bro. Oh my gosh. Are we going up? Fart money, bro. Oh my gosh, we're going down to the core. Like I said before. Gosh, what is this gonna have in store? Is that person still chilling on the elevator? I got food and drink if you need it. 50! Stop now. Stop. They don't have the emergency button. Crap, bro. Mandem taking me ultra deep in it. Come on, bro. Uh-oh. Wonder what number that means. This must be an illusion. They're having a conversation down there. Is that like where the Illuminati meets up? When your boys want to have fun? We're going down beyond the questionable floor. 89? 90. Aside from the occasional scares, the job isn't even that bad. 91, what do I get paid now? Like $5 an hour? Hey, bro, I'm sitting, I'm chilling. 92. Oh my gosh, oh my gosh, oh my gosh. What the frick is that, bro? Let's go. Spider Marcy was like, hey, what's up? Spider Marcy wanted to get on the elevator. I can't believe nobody wants to go to the top floors, bro. That lobby has to be stacked. Hotel, but it's in reverse. Gosh. Got all the rooms going on the underground. Wonder what they got at room 100. Dude, Dennis in the snack rooms. Go beyond floor 50, get a 500 score. Oh my gosh. Triple digis. Unbelievable. What's up? The factory. This is where they're all being made, bro. This one looking at me.
What's up, man? Nothing.
Hey! I know you. Bro, they got like Resident Evil aliens, bro. Go, bro, go. Wait, maybe he needs to use the elevator. Are you? Ew, it has like a face on it! Hey, where you gotta go?
How about you take me to that lobby, big boy?
Oh, okay. Hey, I got you.
Haha, thanks, man.
How's life down here? I mean, dude, it's gotta be hot, bro. It's gotta be wicked hot down here. We're going up.
Hey,
Oh,
whoa, 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 why's the elevator going down? Hey,
I thought
lobby.
you said you needed to go up.
I know what I said, dingus.
Oh my gosh, the elevator doesn't work.
Are you serious?
What's wrong with you, man?
What's
Come
wrong with me?
on.
What's wrong with me?
Yo, we're going like a little deep, bro.
No, bro, we're not skipping past that, bro.
I like start to feel the pressure,
No. Say what you said again. Say what
like
you said.
going underwater.
No, don't change the subject.
Hey, you said we needed to go to room like 200?
I said the lobby. No, bro, you're gonna take me right the frick off, bro. You're gonna take me right the
Yo.
frick off, bro. Matter of fact, let me off right now. Matter of fact,
Hey.
let me off. I just can't stay another second.
Is this where you're?
Goodness, man. Oh my gosh, bro.
Oh, okay. I think he has a friend down here. He definitely has a friend down there. Richard meets Ross. What's up, bro? He's like getting his boy, bringing him back on the elevator. Okay, yeah, I was about to say. I say, when you gotta get your friend, put him back on the elevator. Or surely we're going up. Surely we're going up. This is horrible. This is horrible. I'm gonna hit like floor 1000. Suddenly it's gonna be like 420 degrees Fahrenheit. Big F. 626. I already know what floor they're gonna take me to now, bro. Bro. Things coming to life. It just knows I'm. Oh, I just hit my head on the back of this freaking taking me off. What floor?
Ew, who the frick is this new guy? He smells.
Alright. No, seriously, what floor?
62, please.
Okay. Wait, is that the positive or negative version? You frickin'. Hey, one person on the. Daisy! She stole my soul. Oh! My leg's good now! Nice! Nice! Frickin' peak, bro. Thanks for playing the whole entire game. No problem. You know what? That game's actually getting a wish list for me. Alrighty, yo, I mean, that's it. Well, shoot, man, that's my first, like, bro, I haven't had a recording that short in freaking forever. Alrighty, guys, well, if you did enjoy that shorter video, make sure to let me know down in the comments below. I probably will be turning that game. That game is actually pretty freaking good. If you have any other shorter horror games that would make my move a little bit easier and I don't have to, like, make, like, an hour and 50-minute long video, just let me know, you guys. Thank you guys so much for watching this video. Make sure to comment your favorite time zip, and I'll see you guys next time. Au revoir, my friends. Peace.
What's going on, guys? It's Chet, and it looks like they ended up dropping a bunch of Modern Warfare 4 gameplay, so we'll go over that, see people's reactions and whatever. By the way, I want to thank everybody so much for all the love and support on all of the older Call of Duty stuff. It's been really fun. I've been having a blast to be able to just wake up and play BO1 or BO2. It's so nuts, even with some of the caveats and whatever that's going on. This is a beautiful experience. So we have some Modern Warfare 4 gameplay here. It seems like all these clips are from like some other videos where they're just taking the gameplay things and then they're just throwing music over it. Got a lot of motion blur and visual blur. Gameplay without bloom. The way that they're carrying around some of these guns, though, I really like how, like, visually, the Modern Warfare series is so crispy. It does seem like a slight step up overall. I'm not going to say that this is the best looking game I've ever looked at, but quality looks crazy. This is with Twitter compression as well. I mean, the quality looks very good. The game looks very crispy. The Modern Warfare series definitely does some things right. This Magnum right here looks so good. I don't know. I like how the character is holding it. Depth of field. Okay. Usually we just turn depth of field off entirely. I mean, I guess in a way this could help you, you know, if you have depth of field turned on, it'll get rid of this thing in the front. So technically you could get a better picture with depth of field on. That's not even the entire reason why I turned it off anyway, though. Ooh, I just don't like how blurry it makes everything. I'd rather everything just stay like blurry or not blurry. If I have the choice for everything to just be not blurry and in the way, this wouldn't like send me over the edge, even though I will say this looks odd. Like I get depth of field before really blurry, but now you got a better picture. That's great, but this just looks odd to me. I don't know. Obviously the dot with the color in the middle really makes all the difference. If you're somebody that just runs around with a dot in the middle of their screen, or even like playing the modern CODs with the dot in the middle, really, if you just concentrate on the middle, the center of your screen, and have good centering, a lot of this stuff kind of disappears over time, like visually to you. You don't even process it, but we got movement stuff here. Guys moving pretty quick. Got the pistol. Ooh. Giant sniper rifle. This looks like the, what is this? This looks like the Lynx. It's got the magazine on the side. I can't remember if the Lynx had that or not. I know some sniper rifle did. They got the contextual lean thing. Usually I have contextual lean turned off because it doesn't make sense for, visually looks good when you're doing it that way, but I don't even really play corners like this. But also, if I can't visually see anything, I don't want my gun there. This isn't like real life where I'd be able to like blind fire around the corner. If I could just point my gun around the corner and just blind fire it around there without actually seeing anything, then maybe this would be, I don't know, useful and not just like a little visual gimmick. But as far as I'm concerned, it's just a visual gimmick. If it doesn't actually allow me to shoot somebody around the corner faster, I don't see the point. Looks good though. Pulls out a pistol immediately and then throws it away. What the fuck is that? So he blasts somebody, right? He goes boom, blasts him, pulls out this secondary pistol with like a, what is this, like a 3D printed gun or some shit? Why does it look like that? Got like a little keychain thing. He shoots it and then throws it away entirely, like it doesn't actually have a magazine or something. Is this like an attachment or tactical item or something? Where like you get like a 1 magazine pistol that you could pull out like instantly maybe? This is actually kind of cool. I don't know if it actually works like that though, but he tosses it away immediately, swaps back. I thought that was pretty cool. Ooh, we can quick scope. Guy slides around the corner. Boom, quick scope, that's nice. What the fuck was that? He's hanging onto the gun. What the fuck is that? There's like some shit you could shoot and then it like sprays out a bunch of stuff here. So it creates like a smoke screen. But he runs through it and he's holding, I don't even understand what the fuck I'm looking at. He's like flicking it at this guy. What is he flicking at him? Whatever it is, I mean, it's cool and unique, that's for sure. Apex attachment, okay. Then we got the Magnum. I don't know if this is the Apex attachment as well, but it looks like you can, yeah, you can fan the hammer. I can see the guy's hand right here. He fans it. So regularly you don't fan it. Boom, boom. Hey, honestly, I love how it looks visually. I think this game looks crispy as fuck. That said, right there immediately though, look at that. Look at the visual picture there. They went through all that depth of field shit, talking about we're trying to give the player a better picture. And then as soon as you shoot, look how little you can see. Guy's alive. We can see him right here. We start shooting. Smoke, blood smoke, water effect. Visually, it looks good, but like to play it? Yeah, that's gonna be a problem. Probably needs to get toned down. We get the second shots here. Again, I mean, I could barely even see this guy. He's like, it's so dark. Look how blended in he is. Couldn't even see that guy before he started shooting. Am I tripping? Do you see a person here? Am I going crazy? Now you see him, and he's firing, so now, yeah, okay. Yeah, I mean, it's hard to see people. Classic Infinity Ward stuff. Look at this. shoots a noob tube. He's aiming with his laser. We have missiles on our guns. Dude, this game is gonna be fucking crazy. The thing is, me personally, I'd rather get an MW3 experience with like a lot of content and a lot of weird, over-the-top, unique stuff that we haven't seen before, or like the Apex attachment things. You know, have a little bit of fun with like the attachments or whatever here and there. I did appreciate that about MW3. It felt like MW3 was constantly getting like something new, something different, something weird. Maybe not something you would be using all the time, but so we got a missile-guided noob tube, which is like fun, I guess. We got a PPSH, huge. This shit looks beautiful, by the way. He has some sort of attachment underneath here. Let's see what it does. What the fuck? It shoots flares or something? Or like visually disrupted them somehow. Yeah, see, this guy hasn't even turned to look at him. I have no idea what that did, but I'm trying to remember the name of those burning things that you could throw and stick into walls and corners and stuff. Yeah, it's probably that, actually. I've noticed there's a ton of items in this game that allows you to flush people out of areas. And then we got a heartbeat sensor built into the sight here. Man, that shit has an arrow pointing like, hey, you killed that guy, this guy next. Got the akimbos. Visually, I mean, I love the way that the characters hold this gun. I know it's kind of like tactical and proper handling or whatever. There's some flair to it, you know what I mean? And I appreciate that. What the fuck is that? MW2 gunplay, yikes. Literally just MW3 with some shiny paint. He didn't do nothing but step back, trying to sell us the same game for 7 years. What did you guys think we were gonna get, though? Let's be honest. In a row is crazy, but all right. Hopefully BO2 can catch a couple updates so we don't go. It looks awful, but the 1KD bots will slobber all over. I don't think it looks awful. I think there's a lot of like, there's a lot of cheese and shit in the game, but I don't think that it looks bad or boring. I think it visually looks appealing to me. IW's problem was never the gunplay, was dog shit maps and TTK. I'll stick to BO2, thanks. Hey, this is what you guys are gonna get. I don't even feel like that good about saying, nah, fuck your current game, I'm just gonna go and play BO2 like the good old days. You can't get me to play this new age slop. You guys have lost the sauce. You guys don't have the magic anymore. You haven't had it for years. Look at this. This is when you had sauce. I don't even feel like I'm making a stand against them. I mean, what are you saying to Activision? Fuck you and your game. I'm gonna go play your other game. It just doesn't really seem like a good own to me to sit there and talk about, nah, we're gonna go and play this instead from the same company. It would hit a lot harder if it was a different company's game, but you're still playing and putting money in their pockets, so it's like, what are we even accomplishing? Visual recoil and visual clutter gotta go? Yeah, it does. First look at the gunsmith. We got laser, barrel, muzzle, underbarrel, apex attachment at the bottom, big attachment, magazine, ammunition, rear grip, stock, optic. This does, with the apex attachments, it does remind me a lot of MW3. I loved MW3. I love the original MW3, and I like the second MW3. Gunny. Hello, I can help you build a weapon when you have more attachments unlocked. Keep leveling your weapon. Gunny? So, am I understanding this right, or am I giving them a terrible idea? This looks like the stuff that you would see on, like, some websites that have, like, an AI chatbot, and you can hit the button to reference them and be like, hey, can you help me build something with, like, a little bit more accuracy or faster TTK or something? Are you saying that this is how it's gonna work? You're gonna hit your Gunny and be like, hey, I prefer more damage. I prefer better handling. And then Gunny will build using your things to create something. What's interesting about this is that it says you need more attachments unlocked. When does this even become available? Now, obviously, AI seems like it's just gonna creep into any and every single walk of life. Obviously, you could just tell the players like, hey, why don't you just look up a video of somebody dropping 100+ kills or a nuke or whatever and copy their class. Copy the best people with the best stuff that they're using, and you go from there. The easiest stuff to do is to sit there and just copy like what all the pros and content creators and stuff are using and see if anybody has some cheeseball stuff, what's competitive, what's not, what's like real cheesy and overpowered and stuff in comparison, what's underrated. But I guess they feel like maybe some people don't go online and look up these builds or even look at other people's builds in game. I would say that would be the next thing that I would do. If I'm getting fried by somebody using a certain weapon and attachments and stuff, let me take a look at what it is that they're using, and hopefully it'll tell me, you know, enough information visually or on the screen in the kill cam what they're using to kill me with. Then you can just copy from there and then maybe tweak and add your own little spice into the thing. But maybe people won't even think that far. So when they see this little assistant down in the bottom and they hit the Gunny, what is Gunny based off of? Is Gunny going to be running off of AI that's what, scanning the internet for all the best builds? Or is it like a predetermined thing in here? It has like a set of different weapons and loadouts, and then once all of the attachments for it become available, more of like a preset kind of thing, or what? Because we know that AI doesn't like actually create anything originally itself. It takes existing stuff and then mash it together into amalgamation of shit. Recoil stuff we're gonna have going on here. We got an AI chatbot in the game now to help, as if it's not the same shit used every year. True, I would probably have like a movement speed stock on there, and depending on how strong the muzzles and underbarrels are to compensate for it, I would make the stock a mobility stock. The underbarrel will be something that controls the vertical recoil, and then the muzzle will be something that controls the horizontal recoil. So I basically end up building a laser beam. Magazine size depends on how big of a penalty it is. The rear grip is obviously going to have something that has like Sprintifire or whatever. Highly doubt it's going to be any different. And it's a very similar system every single year. Depending on the certain specific kind of recoil that a weapon has and how effective a certain attachment is, you build like the same archetype of build. Recoil control, or suppressor. Yeah, I mean, you get it. Let me know what you guys think down in the comment section about the MW4 gameplay. I think it looks good, but I don't think that it looks entirely, you know, unique. It looks a lot like what we usually know, but it doesn't look that bad. Obviously, I'll play it, go for the mastery camo, whatever.
Assassin's Creed Black Flag is the best pirate game ever made. It was one of my favorite games when it came out back in 2013. And now they've rebuilt the entire thing from the ground up, staying faithful to the original while also adding in some new stuff. Naturally, I've been playing this game non-stop ever since I got my hands on it, just exploring this world. But as I've been exploring, I noticed this. A tiny little island that you could so easily miss, just nestled up here on the northern part of the map. On it, I found this man with a cross behind him, giving what seemed like a sermon to scarecrows. English Navy outfits filled with straw and affixed to these posts positioned within these makeshift pews, all with books laid out in front of them. Every one of them just stood here, looking up at this man. He doesn't react to you unless you're hostile. He also only speaks Spanish and there's no subtitles, so I just have no idea what he's saying. And the weirdest part of finding this little island is that there's no marker for it on the map. See how this map is covered in all these little icons? I bet I look like a weatherman right now. They put these icons over all the locations in the game to show you that it's worth going to. It'll have like a little question mark or something on it, just so you know there's something there. But that little island with the Scarecrow Church on it has no markers whatsoever. And this got me wondering, how many other islands are there like this? Unmarked islands with weird secrets and stories told through their environment. Obviously, I wanted to find out, so I'm gonna sail to every single unmarked island in the game to see what else is hiding out there that most people probably miss. And then for all the islands that do have stuff on it, I'm gonna try and use the environment to piece together what happened there, starting with the weird Scarecrow Church island. Before that, though, I do have to mention this video is sponsored by Ubisoft. Now, I don't do too many sponsored videos. Y'all have blessed me with the ability of being very picky, so just know that if I do take a sponsored video like this one, it's because I genuinely believe that it's a great game, and I want to show y'all that. And also in this case, they gave it to me really early, so I actually had time to make a good video. Thank you, Ubisoft. I love you deeply. I love you deeply and truly. So for this island specifically, I wanted to use the environment to piece together why this man is giving scarecrows the word of God. There are two boats that seem to have crashed on the shore here. There's a little one with a skeleton inside. It's pretty battered. And then there's just a chunk of a massive ship over here. There aren't any other big chunks of boat in the water, so my guess is that this big boat has been here for a while, and most of the other pieces have either drifted away or been used for makeshift structures on the island. Yeah, I found some pieces of this wood on the other side of the island where it seems to have been used to make the world's worst bed. Like at that point, just sleep in the sand, bro. Don't wake up with porcupine butt for all the splinters. That's so stupid. It sits within this camp area that he's got set up here. He's also got a tent, you know, some crates, and honestly, some good looking soup. For a crazy guy giving a sermon, he makes a good soup. As I was looking down at his little campsite, a turtle walked up to me, dude. There's a turtle, and you can feed it. You can feed the turtle. It's the best day of my life. In the actual church area, it looks like he's using beams from the ship to hang these cloths from. Other pieces of wood to build pathways in his little podium, and then probably using some sticks to create the scarecrows. There are some candles on the floor around his little barrel podium, many of which have melted down into a big puddle, leading me to believe that he's been here doing this for a while. He's also got religious robes, multiple books of the same religious text, and he's wearing the Jesus Force Ones. That's a man of God. That's a man of God wearing those moccasins. Now, first I thought he marooned separately from the big ship, and he just went crazy instantly, found all the uniforms, and turned them into scarecrows so he had somebody to talk to. But the fact that he is so prepared to give a sermon is weird. The pews he's got here don't look like they're made out of scrap. They're well crafted. Same with the chairs around here. I also noticed at this point that the cloths he hung up were specifically color coded. This one is yellow, white, and red, and the other one is red, blue, green. The yellow, white, and red obviously seems to me like the colors of the Spanish Empire. It kind of matches the flags that they fly. Also probably an easy guess that he's Spanish considering he speaks Spanish. That being said, I have no idea why there's red, blue, green, or why the scarecrows he's been talking to would be dressed in British Navy uniforms. I've been trying to translate what he says. Sometimes it's Spanish, and then he'll throw a little Latin in there to be fun. I sent like a shitty video on my iPhone recording what he was saying to my friend who speaks Spanish, but he didn't really get much out of that. He said something about a lion. Then I recorded it specifically on my computer and tried to upload it to a translator online. That gave me more words, but it didn't really make sense. It just kind of sounded like a basic sermon. It had the bones of a basic prayer, but I'm pretty sure it got a lot of the words wrong. If any of you figure out what this guy is actually saying, let me know. I would love to know. Now, with all this information, my best guess is that this guy was a priest aboard this Spanish ship that beached here some time ago. He started trying to fix that small lifeboat or build a big signal fire
Professor Dave here. Let's work with matrices.
He knows a lot about all kinds of stuff. Professor Dave explains.
Now that we know how to represent systems of linear equations with matrices, we need to learn about what to do with these matrices that will allow us to solve these systems. We want to find out whether a system has 0, 1, or infinitely many solutions. And if there is one solution, we want to find precisely what it is. What are some techniques that we can use to do this? The main strategy that we will use involves manipulating the system to produce a new system of equations with the same solution as the original one, but is much easier to solve. How can we do this? Actually, this is still the same concept that we learned in algebra. We can manipulate the equations in a system in any way we want that is algebraically valid, meaning we can do anything we want to an equation as long as we do it to both sides of the equation. Say we have the following system of two linear equations, 4x plus 6y equals -2, and 5x minus 3y equals 8. Let's go ahead and generate the corresponding augmented matrix, which will be 2 by 3, with 4, 6, and -2 in the first row, and 5, -3, 8 in the second row. One option available to us is to take any equation and multiply or divide by some number. How about we take the first equation and divide everything by 2? This shouldn't change the equation or the system because everything will be in the same proportion. We can also just do this to each term in the first row of our matrix. But just for clarity, let's do both of these things so that we have equations to look at while we do matrix operations. Dividing through, we get 2x plus 3y equals -1, and we alter our matrix accordingly. We can multiply or divide any equation in this manner, or the corresponding row, by any number we want except for 0. The reason we divided by 2 is simple, because now we can use another technique. We can take any two equations in the system and add or subtract them to produce another valid equation that will be part of the system. This is another technique we learned in algebra. Now with the matrix, we want to retain the dimensions of the matrix. So let's say we decide that we want to add the two rows together. Let's do so and replace the second row with our result. We can achieve this by adding the values in the first row to the values in the second row below. To 5, we add 2 and get 7. To -3, we add 3 and get 0. To 8, we add -1 and get 7. So to summarize, we can add or subtract any two rows to generate a new row without affecting the solution to the system. Combining this with the previous technique, where we can multiply or divide any row by some number, we can actually add or subtract any multiple of any row to any multiple of any other row to get a new row, or even simply swap two rows without changing any of the values, all without affecting the solution to the system. This opens up a lot of possibilities for what to do with a system of equations. Now take a look at what we are left with in the second row. 7, 0, 7. This is the same as the equation 7x plus 0y equals 7. This is trivial to solve. X equals 1. Plugging that into any other equation, we end up with -1 for y, and we have solved the system. So as we can see, the key is getting rows with zeros in them. If we took this row and divided by 7, we would get 1, 0, 1. And then we don't even have to use any equations. The matrix spits out the answer. So the goal for any linear system is to write out the augmented matrix and do elementary row operations until each row has a 1 in one of the columns and zeros in the rest, except for the rightmost column, which will give us the value for the variable that corresponds to the position where the 1 is located. When we perform this on a matrix alone, this technique is called Gauss-Jordan elimination. Now take a look at what we are left with in the second row. 7, 0, 7. Each row, elimination, plus 11z equals full example together. Take the following equations. X plus 2y plus 3z equals 1. 2x plus 4y plus 7z equals 2. and 3x plus 7y plus 11z equals 8. Let's go ahead and construct our augmented matrix, which will be a 3 by 4 matrix, since we have 3 equations and 3 unknowns. Now, what elementary row operations jump out at us? There are plenty of ways we could do this. One thing we could notice is that the coefficients in the first column are 1, 2, and 3. What if we subtract both the first and second row from the third row to get a new third row? 3 minus 2 minus 1 is 0. 7 minus 4 minus 2 is 1. 11 minus 7 minus 3 is 1. And 8 minus 2 minus 1 is 5. Getting a 0 is always productive, so that was a good start. What next? Let's say we notice that the first 2 coefficients in the first row are precisely half the corresponding second row coefficients. So what we can do is subtract twice the first row from the second row to get a new second row. So 2 minus twice 1 is 2 minus 2, or 0. 4 minus twice 2 is 4 minus 4, or 0. 7 minus twice 3 is 7 minus 6, or 1. And 2 minus twice 1 is 2 minus 2, or 0. That was a very productive move because we have just solved for one of the variables. Z must be equal to 0. Now we are in great shape to solve for x and y. Let's subtract the second row from the third row to get a new third row, because that will get rid of this 1 in the third position. And now we have 0, 1, 0, 5. That means y must be equal to 5. And now it's easy to finish things off because we have 2 variables isolated. The first row minus twice the third will give us 1, 0, 3, negative 9. And then from that, we can subtract 3 times the second row to get 1, 0, 0, negative 9. Just for the sake of aesthetic, let's swap the position of the second and third rows so that we have the 1s along the diagonal. And that leaves us with our solution spelled out for us nice and easy. X is negative 9, y is 5, and z is 0. Once again, we could have ended up with no solutions if the system was inconsistent, or we also could have ended up with infinitely many solutions. But in this case, we got just one. There is a way to tell how many solutions there are once Gauss-Jordan elimination is complete, which will be the case once the matrix is in reduced row echelon form, which can be abbreviated this way. A matrix is in reduced row echelon form when any row with non-zero entries has a 1 as its first entry. This is called a leading 1. Wherever there is a leading 1, all the other entries in that column are 0. And for any row with a leading 1, there is a leading 1 in the row above that is further to the left. Once we have a matrix in this form, Gauss-Jordan elimination is complete, and we can look at the rank of this matrix. The rank is the number of leading 1s. If the rank is equal to the number of columns in the coefficient matrix, the system has at most one solution, meaning this will typically result in a unique solution. If the rank is less than the number of columns in the coefficient matrix, the system has either infinitely many solutions or none, if the rank of the coefficient matrix is less than the rank of the augmented matrix. So as we can see, elementary row operations are no different than what we learned in algebra. It is just that we are applying them to a matrix and getting a solution for the system that does not require manipulating equations by using Gauss-Jordan elimination. This may seem arbitrary right now, but as we proceed through linear algebra, we will learn about all kinds of things we can do with matrices. So let's move forward and continue expanding our understanding of these right after we check comprehension.
We're going to use Gaussian elimination to solve this system of linear equations, and as we'll see, it has infinitely many solutions. We have to begin, of course, by writing the augmented matrix for the system, which we see here. In the first column, we have the coefficients of x1. In the second column, we have the coefficients of x2, and so on, and we have the constants on the right. By performing Gaussian elimination, we'll get this matrix into row echelon form. Now, the first entry in row 1, we want to be +1, and thankfully it already is. So next, we have to introduce zeros below this leading one. So we need this to be a 0, and we need this to be a 0. To that end, we'll subtract row 1 from row 2, so that this 1 becomes a 0. And we'll subtract 2 row 1 from row 3, so that this 2 becomes a 0 as well. And we see the result here. Of course, we have zeros below that leading 1, and then 0 minus 1 gives us -1, -2 minus -5 gives us +3, and 1 minus 3 is here. Now we have this leading 1, and we want this entry below it to be a 0. So we'll add 3 is 0. Now, having this row of zeros shouldn't be surprising, since we were anticipating infinitely many solutions. Since we have 3 unknowns, if we had 3 non-zero rows, that would be enough to determine exactly one solution. But since we don't have 3 non-zero rows, we only have 2, we'll actually have a free variable, and hence we'll see there are infinitely many solutions. So from row 1, we have x1 plus x2 minus 5x3 equals 3. From row 2, we have that x2 minus 3x3 equals 2, and of course there's no leading entry in column 3, which means x3 is a free variable. So let's say x3 equals this arbitrary parameter t. Then we'll replace x3 with t in those 2 above equations, and we'll solve each of these equations for the leading variable. So we'll solve this equation for x1, and we'll solve this equation for x2. Now, from this equation, we can add 3x3 to both sides, but x3 is t, so that's just adding 3t to both sides. And we have x2 equals 2 plus 3t. Then we can plug that into this first equation and move everything to the right side to get x1 by itself. Subtracting x2 from both sides is the same as subtracting 2 plus 3t from both sides, which is why we see minus 2 plus 3t. And then adding 5x3 to both sides is the same as adding 5t to both sides, so we see plus 5t. Now, this is 3, because there was a 3 over there. 3 plus 5t minus 2 plus 3t. Just simplifying this, we end up with 1 plus 2t, and that's what x1 equals. And so we have these parametric equations describing the complete solution set to this system. x1 equals 1 plus 2t, x2 equals 2 plus 3t, and x3, the free variable, equals t, is a solution of the system for all real numbers t. Hence, of course, there are infinitely many solutions to this system. That's how to use Gaussian elimination to solve a system with infinitely many solutions. I'll leave links in the description to other videos going over Gaussian elimination and more examples of using it. Let me know in the comments if you have any questions, and be sure to check I'm going to show you a step-by-step algorithm we can follow to perform Gaussian elimination. 10 copies of row 2 to row 3 equation. So we have x1 plus x2, which is 1, so x1 plus 1, plus 2x3, x3 is 2, so that's plus 4, equals 8, which means x1 equals 3. And so we have the solution to the system. x1 equals 3, x2 equals 1, and x3 equals 2. Here's one more example, if it's useful, where again we have free variables. We've got more unknowns than equations. So this is a matrix having already had Gaussian elimination done elimination on this matrix, and you'll see all the steps that are necessary. Step 1 is to locate the leftmost column of the matrix that does not consist entirely of zeros. This is where our work begins. And in this matrix, the leftmost column does not consist entirely of zeros. So that's the column we're focusing on. Then we want the top of the column to be non-zero. So step 2 is to interchange the top row with another row, if necessary, to bring a non-zero entry to the top of the column that we found in step 1. In this case, that entry at the top of our column is 0. So we'll exchange the first row with the second row, and that gets us here after we do step 2. So the first and second rows were interchanged, and now this first entry at the top of our column is not 0. Remember, the goal of Gaussian elimination is to transform a matrix into its row echelon form, which means we want all 0 rows at the bottom of the matrix, we want the leading entries to be 1, and we want zeros below all of those leading entries. So now that we have this non-zero leading entry, we want it to be 1. So step 3 is, if the entry that's now at the top of the column found in step 1 is A, we want to multiply the first row by 1 over A in order to introduce a leading 1. So this entry is 2. We want to multiply the row by 1 over 2 to turn that 2 into a 1. So we multiply by a half, the 2 becomes a 1 as desired, the 4 becomes a 2, negative 10 becomes negative 5, and so on. But importantly, this leading entry is now a 1. And the use of having a 1 as the leading entry is now it's easy to add suitable multiples of this top row to the rows below so that all the entries below the leading 1 become zeros. We've got this 2 below the leading 1. We want that to be a 0, so we just add negative 2 times row 1 to row 3. So negative 2 times the first row gets added to the third row, and now we have this matrix. And importantly, we see there are all zeros between the 1 in this first column. With the goal of getting this matrix into row echelon form, our work with row 1 and column 1 is now done. We have a leading 1 in the row, and the column has zeros below the leading 1. So we can move on to step 5, where we essentially cover the top row in the matrix and begin again with step 1, but now applied to the submatrix that remains once we cover up row 1. So in this submatrix, we again identify the leftmost non-zero column and continue repeating the steps as before until the matrix is in row echelon form. So here in this leftmost column, our leading entry, ignoring row 1, because our work with that is done, is negative 2. We want that to become a 1, so we multiply row 2 by negative 1/2. And then we can use this 1 and add negative 5 copies of row 2 to row 3. That way we turn this 5 into a 0 and proceed in this manner. Once we get this leading entry to be a 1, our work with row 2 is done, so we can cover up the row and go back to step 1, now focusing on the very small submatrix that remains. The only step left is to multiply row 3 by 2 in order to turn its leading entry into a 1. And this matrix is now in row echelon form. The leading entries are all 1s that have this staircase pattern where each leading 1 is further to the right than the leading 1 above it. Any row of all zeros is at the bottom of the matrix. In this case, there is no row of all zeros. And each leading 1 has zeros below it. So this is in row echelon form. We have completed Gaussian elimination. Now that the matrix is in row echelon form, we can solve the system of linear equations that it might represent. To use Gaussian elimination in order to solve a system of linear equations, once you complete the Gaussian elimination and get the matrix into row echelon form, you can take the matrix and turn it back into a system of linear equations. That gives us this. We're just taking the coefficients. So 1x1 plus 2x2 minus 5x3 plus 3x4 plus 6x5 equals 14, and so on for the other rows. Notice in the equation from row 2, for example, I haven't written 0x4. I have just included this space here, though, so you can see there are no x4s in this second equation. Once you have your reduced system of equations that comes from that row-reduced echelon form, you want to solve for the leading variables. So everything except x1, we move to the other side of the equation. So x1 equals 14 minus 2x2, and so on. x3, we added 7 halves x5 to the other side of the equation, so x3 equals negative 6 plus 7 halves x5, and x5 is just equal to 2. So again, you get your system of equations and then solve for the leading variables. Those are the variables in the front. Then we complete a simple process called back substitution. Beginning with your bottom equation, plug it in to the above equation. So x3 is equal to negative 6 plus 7 halves x5, but we know x5 is equal to 2. So if we plug 2 in here, we have 7 halves times 2, which is just 7. And negative 6 plus 7 is positive 1. And so we have that x3 is equal to positive 1. Then we plug these two equations into the above equation. x1 is equal to 14 minus 2x2 plus 5x3, but we know x3 is equal to 1, so this is just 5. Minus 3x4, and then minus 6x5. But we know x5 is equal to 2, so 6x5 is just 12, and that gives us this equation. x1 is equal to 14 minus 2x2 plus 5 minus 3x4 minus 12. Combining the 14, the 5, and the minus 12, we have that x1 equals 7 minus 2x2 minus 3x4. And we've completed this back substitution process. And with that, we can describe the general solution with these parametric equations. We see that x2 and x4 were free variables, right? x2, x4, they don't have any restrictions in our system of equations. So we'll just say let x2 equal r and x4 equal s. Those are just parameters. We're calling them r and s. So then our solution is this set of equations. x1 is equal to 7 minus 2x2, but x2 is r, so 7 minus 2r, minus 3 times s. x2 is a free variable, it's equal to r. x3 is equal to 1, we figured that out. x4 is a free variable, it's equal to s. And x5 we figured out was 2. And this is the general solution. So if you represent a system of linear equations as a matrix, this is how you can use Gaussian elimination in order to solve it. You're not always going to need parameters to describe your solutions. We did in this case, though, because we have more unknowns than we have equations. So there's going to be some free variables.